Hey, folks. I think we're live. This is Colleen Macklin. I lead the grand jury, and also I'm an IndieCade alum. I had a game nominated a while ago, dear reader. And I have alongside me Asher Vollmer and Aaron Trammell. Asher, introduce yourself.
Oh, hi, I'm Asher. I'm an IndieCade alum, been going to IndieCade for a million years. And I make video games, if you can imagine that.
And I'm Aaron Trammell. I run the Spotlight jury for IndieCade, and I teach classes in how to design video games. And yeah, super excited that we have so many amazing, talented people here in the room today with us.
And folks are still filtering in. We have developers from around the world. Some have set their alarms to wake up at 3 a.m, I think, for this. So thank you for not sleeping. Probably used to it in indie development. So we wanted to kind of kick things off because we just came out of the awards show. You all won awards. If you could just kind of mime how you're feeling right now on camera. Oh, wow. Okay. Yes. Teddy, what does that mean?
Fear happy. What's fear happy? Anxiety. Joy. Self-conscious joy.
I love it. And we've got Liam's cat here also miming some joy and happiness, I can see.
Yeah, she's clearly thrilled as she's now jumped up on the desk for a third time. So
it's all good. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We're really, really thrilled, and congratulations to all of the game makers. You're amazing, and you're what makes IndieCade amazing as well. I think that we wanted to kind of dive right into a big announcement, which is the Developers' Choice Awards. I'm going to let Asher talk about that award and tell us who that is.
All right, this is the one award that we could not pre-record because it is the Developers' Choice Award, chosen by all the developers, voted upon about which game they love the most in the rest of the festival. And I'm just going to go ahead and announce it. The winner of the IndieCade Developer Award is Stray Gods, the role-playing musical. Woo! And here to represent it is Liam.
That is lovely. Thank you so much, everybody. That's so sweet. I think Stray Gods was like such a wild and insane project in a year where we've had a lot of wild and insane music-related projects. Many of them we have represented here. Yeah, that's super cool. That's so nice. Thank you. And for voting for us, everybody.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Oh. Congratulations.
And
we're
obviously this one's very excited as well.
We're super happy that that game was nominated. It was on the Spotlight. It kept on coming up, and I was like, I really hope this one wins an award. So thrilled that you're here today.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm going to take the next question, and this is to the entire room. So this is a big one. And you can use your hands as many times as you want to answer this question. But we were hoping that you would all tell us how many years your game was in development for. It could be 0, 1, many. Keep them up so everybody watching from home can see.
Oh man, I'm seeing 5s. I'm seeing 3s. I'm seeing. Whoa.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's older than me if you added all the years together.
How many fingers is the Chumo team holding up? It looks like a lot.
9 months.
9 months.
Oh, you guys get stuff done.
We have an awesome.
I am now mad at the Chumo team.
So wait, I think the longest.
We're all mad at the Chumo team.
Is the longest project, is that the We Are OFK? Is that 5 years? I don't know. I see some other 5s maybe. That's pretty good. I mean, I think a 5-year turnaround is not too shabby. It took us 9 years to make our game. We're the slow game movement.
Like, depends on where you start from, right? Like we
Yeah.
didn't become a fully fledged team until maybe like for the last 3.5 years, but if you count from like inception and prototype, you know.
Well, I guess
Yeah, it
that's
was
like,
the same here.
yeah.
Mm. Oh yeah, Liam, I remember you showing me Stray Gods in 2018.
Yeah, like yeah, because we were both pitching around at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think also Goodbye Volcano High is sitting in this like area as well. So it's like all of the music games here.
Unknowingly competing with each other for pitch funding.
Yeah.
It was a year where a lot of the audio games wound up in other categories too, which was new, surprising, but amazing to see. And everybody was like passing notes like, do you want to do you want to look at this one? It's really exciting. So really cool. Chloe or Asher, do you want to take the next question?
I'll take it away. I mean, I was one of the things we're always interested in learning about is what was the inspiration behind your games, and anybody who wants to speak can raise their hand, and we'll just go in order.
Yeah. I'll put the spotlight on you.
Yeah. Jason.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a book by Michael Lessie called Wisconsin Death Trip that was a big inspiration for Desperation, for sure. It got me looking into late 19th century weather disasters, which sort of led to game inspiration for sure. So that's the book, Wisconsin Death Trip.
Is that like a fiction or a nonfiction?
No, it's he just found an archive of newspaper clippings from a town called Black River Falls, Wisconsin, and it's just a series of it's like a scrapbook of a year in the life of this town, and the most horrible things happen, and it's just it's beautiful.
Oh,
Highly
that's cool.
recommended.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think like I love to hear what folks get inspiration from. And it's great that it's like, you know, anything from historical literature to sometimes it's just like a visit to the doctor's office. I don't know.
I was gonna say that was just about the most Jason inspiration ever for for a game. Archival clippings on weather disasters. Does anybody else want to share? Tell us what inspired your game. Tell us a little more about it.
I'll speak out to encourage the OFK team because we're slowly overwhelming the rest of you in this Zoom chat. Just to say that I think something that was nice / painful about We Are OFK is that, you know, it started as a project that was very like write what you know. It's very much a project about, you know, a piece of art about making art and what that feels like. And I found time and time again in my own life and in some of our lives, and even in the process of making the game, that like some of the elements, some of the stories that happen in the game, none of which are real stories, but I would find like, oh, I'm being like re-inspired because I'm going through a thing right now that we already wrote into the game like a year ago, and now it's happening again. So it's kind of like validating to be like, oh, cool, this must be relatable because I'm relating to our game and we're not even done with it yet. So
yeah, I played We Are OFK. I love it, and I just love the fact that so much of it's about being a creator, no matter what kind of creator you are, and the sort of ethical issues that you come up against, as well as like what friendship means when you're in the same profession. And I think a lot of indie folks can relate in a big way to the narrative of the game. It's awesome. Yeah, does anybody? Oh, okay, yeah, Lucas.
Yes.
Hi. So for us, Against the Storm is not such an emotional experience as other games that won the awards. Against the Storm, which won the Systemic Award, was inspired by a mode for a Stronghold game from decades ago, and it inspired Michał, the main designer of the game, to create a game based on that mode, because there was nothing similar to it for the past 2 decades. And so we as RMI Games usually like to make games that we want to play and hope that other people will also like to play them. So this was the main inspiration for Against the Storm, a mode that that existed in the past and was never picked up by any other developers.
Can you tell us what that mode was?
Oh, so that was, I think it was Stronghold or Settlers. I'm not really sure. I think Stronghold. So in this mode, you didn't all the resources that you'd normally get. So you had to different strategies. So let's say you don't have metal this time, so you need to figure out a different way to win a game. And so that's the core design principle for Against the Storm, to play the hand you're dealt, and so to find a way out of a difficult situation.
I love it. Games of entropy.
Awesome. Taylor, what about He Fucked the Girl Out of Me?
Oh God. Sorry, that title's a lot. Okay. For me, it was Nathalie Lawhead's game, Everything is Going to Be Okay, also known as Alien Melon. I felt that they covered trauma in the best way that's ever been articulated in any video game ever to exist. And so I realized that instead of trying to focus on broad trauma and cover every trauma thing possible, it was better to just write about the hyper specificness of your specific fucked up stuff. Am I allowed to? Yeah, I'm allowed to curse. Yeah.
Bring it.
And then the other one was Audre Lorde's The Cancer Diaries, because Audre Lorde was like, man, I'm dying and it really sucks. And your silence won't save you because you're going to flip and die. So like, you better like be a meaner, more selfish, nasty person and just say some fucked up shit while you still have the chance. And so I was like, I should quit waiting. And that was my inspiration. Okay, bye.
Oh my God, heck yes. I mean, Audre Lorde is a massive person in, LGBTQ rights, and such a good inspiration. That's awesome. Sweet, we got the Chumo team. What was your inspiration?
Speaking for the team overall, like we had the inspiration on like the Eastern exorcism and specifically the Taoism. We were like extremely interested, and like so we familiarized ourselves with the Taoism rituals and the ancient tools, and we wanted to create like an immersive experience, like interactive experience for players who like take part in this like ancient exorcism ritual. So like that's like our inspiration. And like we also looked at a lot of like those like sort of Eastern horror games, such as like the Detention, and like we're also like inspired by like the anime Mononoke at first. So like those were like our inspirations.
I think it also came from a kind of like not necessarily a lived experience, but like a cultural kind of like experience that you might have peripherally been grown up with. A lot of our students coming from that cultural background, but specifically too, it calls upon like a lot of the ancient kind of techniques or traditions, but at the same time too, if you look closely at the props, there was also this need to go back to like a 90s kind of inspiration layer as well. So trying to kind of modernize it, but not all the way to where we are in 2023.
I've just got to ask before we move on, what are all those cool looking tickets behind you all?
Talismans. Oh yeah, they're talismans. Like they're talismans that seal like the power of the demons. We also have like the talisman drawing stations, but
yeah. So basically in the lore of it is the seals are used to kind of seal away bad spirits from escaping certain areas, and this is helping to like quell that energy.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
AIM, how about your inspiration?
Yeah, so ours started off as simple as someone from our team wanted to make a game about a punk rock band, so that was kind of the initial like starting point. And then when it came to the story, we really wanted to talk about something, yeah, really, really kind of personal to a lot of our team members. So it really was kind of based off of personal experiences and things that a lot of, especially the women on our team, have gone through and dealt with. For those that have played our game, it deals a lot with like the Me Too movement. So we really kind of wanted to tell the most like kind of outspoken game that we could.
That's awesome. Anahid. Anahid or Anahid?
Anahid, that's correct. Thank you. Okay, so our game was inspired by our game director's grandmother and grandfather story. They were resistant members in Denmark during World War II, and her husband got arrested, and somebody snitched on them, and yeah, that was basically our the inspiration for our game, and the stuff that happened during that time. And yeah, all the human emotions that like everybody experienced.
Such a resonant game for the present times, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can see it happening already during within people's life.
Awesome. So we realized that you all didn't get a chance to do an acceptance speech, and we won't have time for acceptance speeches from everybody. But one of the things that we think is really important is that, you know, it takes more than a village usually to make a game, and that you all might have some thanks that you want to give to folks and shout out to them. Yeah, we'll just let you dive on in if there's some folks you want to mention and thank in your games.
Jason, are you raising your hand?
Yeah. I just very briefly, can I thank my team?
Please do.
Yeah. Okay. So my partner Steve Seghetti, our production manager Jen Martin, our artists Brennan Reese and Jabari Weathers, Javier Beltran, and our editor Karen Twelves. They were all super important to Desperation, and I'm so grateful to all of them.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, like mostly I just want to thank our publisher Humble, who's just been such an awesome partner on a really interesting and weird game. We've had such a good time with them. And also Austin Wintry, Trey Baker, Laura Bailey, Tripod, Montaigne, all the incredible people who worked on the game. And I'd just like to take the opportunity to say that to everyone here. Like, this is definitely like the year of the audio and the music game. And it has been a very, very exciting time to be a part of that with everyone here.
Yeah, I know what I'm adding to my playlist. That's for sure. Any other folks want to thank people? Yeah, Teddy.
I used the button. I thanked all the leads in our video earlier in the stream, but I actually just wanted to awkwardly call out some of the audio folks who are in this call right now and offer them the opportunity to say anything if they want. But Chris Brown, who's our performance director and casting director, who was shocking to me that they agreed to work with us and brought such a care and professionalism to the space of the voice recording process, in terms of both supporting us in doing ensemble recordings so that we could have human reactions to each other and emotional reactions, and just really caring about everyone in the room in ways that were inspiring to me, and I think brought like an extra dimension to the project. And also on the music side to Omni Boy, who was our composer, who probably listened to the voice performances more than anyone else on the team, maybe even me included in the process of scoring the game. So I just wanted to thank you too and ask if you wanted to thank anyone from your processes on your side, since audio is often kind of sent to the side or isn't there every day in the game engine like a lot of us can be. You don't have to say anything, but sure.
Yeah, Omniboy, we are OFK. Speak up.
sorry about that. I like just learned how to do the hand reaction thing. I'm gonna raise my hand, but yeah, I want to thank Akash too, actually, who did like the sound design for the game. The game like takes place in Los Angeles, like the city that I live in, and so for a lot of the sound design and Foley, Akash came down and was recording throughout the city. And then even when I was making the score to it, it was an interesting time just because it was like during the pandemic. So like I was walking throughout the city, but it was way emptier and like way more like, I guess, subdued than it typically is. And that was like a huge inspiration just for like me putting together the music for the game. It was like definitely a very specific time in LA that I think is like not just not something I've ever experienced before and probably won't again. So it's like the sonic code and like the composition code of the game is just so unique to me because of that.
Awesome. And Chris, we are OFK. Might as well make this a trifecta from the team.
Yeah, I just I want to acknowledge what Teddy said, and yeah, and also thank you so much, Teddy, and Omniboy's work is incredible. Akash's work is incredible, and a lot of it is about making room for the kind of work that we do, making that space for performance, and just really encouraging emotional vulnerability at all times and making it safe. And I also want to mention Kyle and Goodbye Volcano High, because he did that too, and he's amazing. So yeah, thank you.
Woohoo! Awesome. Thanks. We are OFK for thanking everybody. That's great. We've got Lukasz up next.
Yeah, so I would like to thank my teammates, so Michał, Natalia, Mikołaj, Damian, Aaron. Thank you so much. We started this as a group of friends, and we remained friends after all those years. So this is very important to me. I'm very grateful that you invited me to this group those years ago. This is a life-changing experience for me, and I'm super happy that we are doing this together. They couldn't join me today, but I know that they are watching and they are sending me some dumb messages to support me, and so that I'm not stressed. And so thank you very much for that. You're the best.
I love that you remain friends. That I don't know. That's just a really special thing. So
Absolutely. Lee, Crypt Master.
Thank you. Yes, just a few thank yous, I think, from Cryptmaster, from myself and Paul. So I think thank you to Sarashu, our composer, who's been amazing, and his music has really brought the game to life. Big thank you to our publishers, Akupara, so David at Akupara, and everybody else who's helped out on the game. Lots of people have contributed, especially I think probably Kat and Arthur for sound design, Sina Breyer for the voiceovers, both coordination, and she's done some amazing voices herself. Marlo and Lucas, who did some brilliant art for the characters and environments, and all of the voice cast who were amazing, added so much to the game, and Lucas, who's been doing the Spanish localization, and is actually in danger, which worries me a bit, of making the Spanish version better than the English version. So a big thank you to him as well.
Nice. I'm glad to hear it's coming out in Spanish. It's such a good game, and so much of it, it's about words really and language. And I just, as a word puzzle game person, I just love it so much. It's so good.
Thank you.
Damir,
Yeah, thanks. I just want to specifically call out my co-writer Ida, who's just like a pleasure to work with on the whole project. And also like we've been lucky enough to win a couple awards, and there's never really anything for programming. So I want to thank our programmers specifically, Maunus, Peter, Soren, Anthony, Oliver, and Thomas. Like they made some fantastic like dialogue scripting tools for us to use that were just made the job of being a writer so much easier. So I want to specifically like call them out and say thanks. And yeah, just our whole team was just fantastic. So yeah.
Awesome. And then I think maybe last up, I'm not sure, but we've got Kyle. Goodbye, Volcano High.
I lost Kyle.
I was
Oh
muted.
no.
Yeah, I'm here. I just wanted to call out a few people I didn't get a chance to call out in the video earlier. Our actors, first and foremost, and Chris and Sarah, who just helped run the whole thing and made the game what it is. I want to call out our localizers because their translations reached a ton of people in other countries, and they did an amazing job under really stressful circumstances. We had like a bunch of contractors work with us. It would take forever to name them all, but we had lots of artists and animators join us in order to make the game go, and that really made all the difference. And lastly, all my coworkers are telling me to call out the pets that kept us sane for the past 5 years, especially Bluey, who has been a very good boy today.
Aw, who's Bluey?
That is Jacob's dog. Jacob did all of our music and audio programming for our rhythm portions, and yeah,
Awesome.
Bluey's getting a special call out for this.
You always got to thank your pets, it's important. And Taylor.
Oh, am I unmuted? Okay, yes, I think I'm good. I would like to thank Kim and Sophie, who were also developers on my game. Kim helped me get the panels in time for my release date, and Sophie helped edit it because editing that stuff is really hard to do for personal things. The other thing that I wanted to do was thank my family for still being cool with me after dumping out a ton of really fucked up things, because they're better people than me for doing that. And then the last thing, I really wanted to thank this person before I got the chance, but at like the start of IndieCade, they were like, oh my God, is that title real? Haha, we can't read that. And then one of them was like, just say fuck you, cowards. And I'd like to thank her for saying that, because there was a lot of controversy as I've released this game over if I'm allowed to say fuck or not. And the jury's still really out, but I really appreciate everyone who's stood up for the right to say fuck. Because sometimes I feel that it's okay to talk about trauma, but it's not okay to say fuck because fuck is considered too obscene. So thank you.
And I got to say, like, from the grand jury's perspective, we loved saying the name of your game. He fucked the girl out of me, because it really, I think, encapsulates the power of the experience of your game. And it was an experience award winner, I think. And so much of it is about how to say things without like mincing words, right? And actually, speak up. So I love that. Sweet. Okay. I mean, if there's any other thanks, you can always jump on in if you'd like. But Asher, you're up next. You want to ask a question of our developers?
Yeah, of course. And personally, I always say let game developers say fuck. That's very much my stance on the matter. But yeah, so my question is, you all submitted to IndieCade. You're all big winners at IndieCade. So the question I have for all of you is, what does indie and the concept of being indie mean to you as you made this game, as you submitted to IndieCade? Was it now that the game's out, or if they're out? And what does the concept of indie mean to you in 2023? If anyone has any thoughts on that. Oh, Nafisa.
Oh yeah, you said it perfectly. That's great. So for me, indie with games, like I've worked in like AAA and stuff before, and I felt with We Are OFK, we wanted to tell this very authentic story that was queer in a way that wasn't like queer for like to educate people about queerness, but to allow people to be that way, and also to show this really human side of like development of art and the kind of like human connections we have with each other. And it's just like, I feel like indie is sort of the space where we're allowed to do those things. I feel that in indie games, there's a certain sense of freedom and like anxiety because you're not sure if your game's going to make it. You're not sure if your game's going to get the funding, but that anxiety is worth it for the chance to be able to have the freedom and the openness to say whatever it is that you want to say. The As a little personal thing, being on Team OFK was the first time that I had my pronouns respected. I could talk about my partner freely. And I feel that like that warmth from the team is something that you can only find in indie spaces right now, which is unfortunate, but like ideally it'll kind of become a bigger ripple that can affect the rest of the game industry. But yeah, to me, it was like the authenticity that we tried to bring to We Are OFK started from the team itself, and started from the fact that we were in the indie sphere, because without being there, I feel like there would be a lot of situations where we wouldn't be allowed to say the things that we wanted to say. The really human, the really like not so pretty, the really like just honest things that the interactive series kind of like sought to talk about, and sort of like the concept of like, and like if any of you have played it, the characters in it actually do work in AAA games, and so it being an indie game itself is a little bit on like a sort of meta satisfaction level, in which it's like they're suffering working at this AAA studio, and they're trying to kind of shift gears from going from this like very commercial acceptable space into doing something that is honest and raw and real and human, which was music for them. And for us making this game, me coming from like AAA to doing indie, it was kind of like I felt like I was on the same journey as the characters. And so for me, I feel the freedom once again for indie is kind of like what really defines the indie game sphere, and the kind of like it's almost like a sub industry, I feel. So yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much. What a good answer. I feel like we can model things for the bigger industry that they can learn from. Omni, I think you were next.
Yes, thank you. It's I think it's a really cool concept, like indie games. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think it's like a really cool concept, like indie games and just like indie art in general, because I feel like it's always changing. It's always like morphing, like what exactly like an indie game can be. I feel like there are a lot of games I played when I was really young that were like AAA titles at the time that today, if they came out, would be indie games. And I feel like there's like indie games sometimes that come out now that like a long time ago would have been a AAA title. And I like that it's this cool, like amorphous thing that's always moving around, but that means that there's always going to be space for an indie game. Like there's always going to be a space for whatever that is, no matter what that embodies. But like today in like 2023, I personally like that. I feel like indie games get the opportunity to tell really like hyper specific stories, like things that are like super personal, because I feel like as you know, you're releasing a game that's huge and it's supposed to be relating to all these different people and like walks of life. Sometimes things can get really vague, and there's so much merit and value in that for sure, but it's really nice to sometimes like look at an interaction in a game, or look at even like the scenery in a game and go like, oh, this is very clearly based where I live, or these people do the things that I do, or this person looks or sounds or dresses like me. And I think that that's like one of the things that I as I've grown older and as I've become like been more on the creative side than the consumer side solely in gaming, it's something that I've definitely valued in like that indie space, that you can go there to get these really specific, really niche things that maybe aren't going to hit the widest swath of people, but the people that it does hit, it's going to like change them. It's going to like really impact them personally in their life. That's what I feel like indie games mean to me today.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you so much. Amy.
Yeah, I feel like I have quite a similar answer to the We Are OFK team, just because we had such a kind of similar experience with making our game. Being indie really just meant that we could tell the story that we want to tell, and have the freedom to talk about the things that we want to talk about, which you definitely wouldn't see some of the things in our game and many of the games here in AAA. So it was really nice to have that freedom to be able to do that.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much. And Liam.
Aim just fully stole exactly what I was going to say, which is that as indie developers, we get to be a bit unapologetic, and we get to sort of share our authentic stories unmoderated by like a broader corporate entity, and that's really special. Like, I've worked in indie spaces and AAA, and there are so many incredible things about AAA that I love. And it's not to say that AAA can't be an amazing place to be, but it was really incredible to just get to share something that was special to us and was like unapologetically queer.
Awesome. Thank you. And Lee.
Yeah, I really just wanted to sort of echo what other people have said, but from a slightly different angle, because our game doesn't have a very personal message that many of the other great games here do. But I think I feel the same, that we were able to experiment with things. For us, it was more mechanically rather than in any message, as I say, but we could experiment with things that we wouldn't have been able to in a AAA game. So, you know, making like a word-based dungeon crawling comedy game, and I think, you know, it wouldn't fly anywhere else. You know, so it's something that you can only take a risk on, that sort of thing, in the indie space, really.
Totally. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I want to, it doesn't look, if there's any more responses, feel free to raise your hand, but I just want to say that, like, these responses are so refreshing to me. Like, when I started in like 2012-ish time period, everyone's answer to this question was like, well, you wouldn't have a publisher. Well, it depends how much money you spent. Like, and like, these answers are so much more about like the contents of the games and like the soul of the games. And I love that. And I love that this is direction that indie's headed. Oh yeah, Anahid.
Okay, so I've never worked in a, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, great. I've never worked in a AAA company, but yeah, on top of what everybody said, that was very true. I also feel like the connection that different departments have in the indie company is so tight and so close, and I really love that. Like, a designer can influence the work of the artist in all the departments can do that in a very different level, and I like that tie and the connection that exists in the indie companies, and I really like that we can like influence each other's works and learn from each other, and like I have an overview in like the whole game.
Okay, totally. You'll never find me working on a team with more than like 20 people, personally, for that reason. Chumo.
Yeah, I think for us, the indie game experience was really this, like, as other people had kind of iterated before, was this ability to have like this freedom to create something that's our own unique perspective, and also the ability to have just more of that creative freedom and direct connection to the games that we were making. Like, we were primarily a team of concept artists and game designers, but creating like a physical world and set, we had to step out of our comfort zone to like tap into other kinds of modalities of creativity that normally they wouldn't. We had concept artists who just focused on 2D animating. We had game designers working on prop and set design. We had people painting walls, and just having that freedom ultimately in an experience that is like so close knit that we had direct influence over our game was a really kind of freeing and experience for us to explore, not just stay within these bigger teams and have your own kind of direct kind of impact on the game that's really small but contributing to a larger piece. I think that this environment was really kind of conducive in allowing other creative freedoms in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like it's just like really, and I think another great thing that we learned from this experience is like the accomplishment that it felt like you when you like an individual definitely can't like keep an eye on like everything, but then like when you notice that, oh my God, someone already got my back, like doing their own other parts and then like assembling it together, and then we have like everybody making this whole entire thing, like everybody's doing great in their own like respective um tasks. I think that was like really like accomplishing to, and we like felt it for the first time, like
Yeah, and to like
Oh, and also for me, the special experience of building this whole experience is having a very close connection between me and the players. That is the experience that I didn't get from building other games. So, for example, we invite a lot of playtesters to when we build these rooms, and they will give us free feedback face to face, and also point out, ask questions about, oh, what is this about, and what is this background, and that really gives us a lot of useful feedback to help us to polish the game.
Yeah, and I also think that being an IndieCade or indie game developer, you also have like this kind of feeling of being like an underdog. But in some ways, I think that like low expectation is kind of freeing in the sense where we were very benefited of not having like a corporate interest or commercialization necessarily in mind for this project. We wanted to do it basically for the artistry of it. Like we got to be really scrappy and literally find whatever we could that was like free and assemble a collage of an experience, as opposed to having these crazy budgets in which we had to really make this world happen. It really forced us to be creative and find what resources out there in the Los Angeles area that we can just tap into and curate this collage of an experience.
Awesome. So cool. All right. Thank you so much. And Lucas.
Yeah, so for me personally, it's very important that I know that when I go to work in an indie studio, I won't be forced to do things that I don't feel comfortable with, that I don't disagree with, even morally, which wasn't always the case in the bigger companies. Right now, I feel so much better that I can do what I feel is right, and I'm honestly saving a lot of time during the day when I don't need to express my frustration to coworkers, and instead I can focus on doing cool things.
Awesome. 100%. Yeah, no, it's incredible to like really be able to care and defend about what you're working on like so deeply. Like it's a really cool part of working indie in this industry. And yeah, I think that's all the answers to that question. And Aaron, would you like to ask the next one?
Yeah, I'm blown away by all the amazing answers to that question and such generous answers. So yeah, so when I think about IndieCade and I also think about what indie means to me, one of the things that comes up is that it's really about community over commerce in so many different ways. And because of that, the next question that we have is all about the other games that you kind of want to lift up and say like, hey, if you liked my game, check these games out too. So I'm really curious, like, what should we be playing if we enjoyed your game? Tell us the good stuff. Give us that playing list. And if it's not about your game, if nothing's coming to mind, just tell us what to be playing in general. Yeah, Lucas, first with the hand.
Yeah. So if you enjoy roguelite city builders like Against the Storm, you should totally try Dot Age, Wandering Village by Strayphone Studios, Kanga. And if you enjoy strategy games with beavers, you also need to try Timberborn, another city builder from Poland, which has playable beavers. I don't know, it's kind of probably Polish thing to include beavers in our games.
Timberborn was on our list this year. I didn't get a code to play it, but I think I'm going to download to play it because it looks really cool. Does anybody else have a recommendation? Just other games to be playing? Yeah, Taylor.
Oh, sorry, I had to unmute myself. Okay, I think I'm on. I would like to say that once a year for the past couple of years, I've been an organizer on the Queer Games Bundle, which is we get together on itch.io and have a relatively open policy in which developers who identify as queer and are over the age of 18 can submit their games, and we usually accept most. I mean, we get some fraud and other things like sketchy behavior because trusting people with money on the internet's a bad idea. But putting that aside, I would like to say if you Google Queer Games Bundle, you can see a lot of micro queer indie developers who are people who work just entirely in a bedroom and maybe even just did something on like a PDF file. And I think a lot of those games are very, very interesting. And then I'd also like to specifically mention again Alien Melon, because I feel their games are really good. But I also feel like Porpentine has a really, really good game developer who a lot of the younger generation are kind of missing out on. So I'd like to remind people that that developer exists. Okay, bye.
Amazing stuff, Taylor. And yeah, I come from the tabletop world, and in the tabletop world, itch.io is definitely like where the action is happening. So yeah, I definitely recommend everybody check out the Queer Games Bundle that you just plugged there for that. That's awesome. Yeah, so other folks with game recommendations. Yeah, Jason.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to the Golden Cobra Challenge, which is a short LARP writing competition that just had its 10th anniversary, and we had our 2023 games released yesterday, announced yesterday. A lot of really fun, small, intense, interesting, challenging, fun games. The Golden Cobra Challenge.
I love seeing all of the submissions to Golden Cobra every year. It's a highlight, and I definitely applaud that and recommend that people check that out too. It's such a cool bundle. I taught there's one class where it's a live action role play where you play a rock from the Golden Cobra like 8 years ago or something like that, and it was an amazing experience. Far better than you'd imagine being a rock was for a game. Asher.
Yeah, I'm totally taking advantage of this. I'm not a winner, but I'm just going to pop in here, which is to say, puzzle indie games are close to my heart. So there are two things I want to call out. One is a mobile game just came out. It's also on Steam actually, called Subpar Pool, which is like a really good sort of puzzly billiards game by my friend Martin /Grapefruit. And the other one is Puzzmo. It's a website like puzzle game compilation by my friend Zach Gage. And if you love puzzles, you should check out both those games and support your fellow indie developers. And everyone else should just shout out their indie friends and sell their games. That's what I'm doing. That's it.
I think that's the second plug I've heard for Puzzmo from a friend and colleague this year. So yeah, it's in the zeitgeist. Liam, what should we be playing?
I had trouble with this at first because so many of the games that I'd recommend are like people in this room. And if you haven't played the games of the people in this room at IndieCade, you should. But I wanted to call out That Boy is a Monster by Sav Wolf, which is fucking rad. And came out a couple of years ago, and I don't think won some awards here locally, but isn't very well known overseas. So I would definitely check that out. Monster, MONSTR.
That Boy is a Monster. Thanks, Liam. Teddy, what should we be playing?
How did I do this? Oh, hi. Yeah, at the risk of sounding kind of, I don't know what the word is, circuitous, like I think specifically to people who like We Are OFK, like this has kind of been alluded to a few times, but there are a number of like games about musicians or games about bands in this room already, right? Stray Gods, Dead Pets Unleashed, Goodbye Volcano High, previously like Unbeatable. I think there's something in the brains of a lot of game creators that they long for the counterpart to the experience of making a game, because making a game often feels like silence for like 4 years, and then you release something and then people go awesome and you're like thanks, and then you go and do it again for 4 years, and there's like a desire to just scream into a microphone or to stand on a stage and cry. And I think like the number of game developers I know who have a hand in music or stage performance or comedy or anything is very large. And I think it's beautiful to see that coming into like finished products that people are putting out or finished pieces of work, to share the kind of the cross-pollination, because every game developer thinks like performers are the coolest people in the world, and every performer and musician thinks game developers are like the future. And it's really beautiful to see those worlds like combine and overlap. So shout out to all those games.
Thanks, Teddy. I love that energy. And I completely agree that there's different modalities at play with games and music, and it's really awesome to see these two things coming together in such a full force way this year. Hey Kyle, what would you recommend that we play?
I just want to call out 2 games that our team is really enjoying right now that came out pretty recently, and I think if you enjoy narrative games like our game, you'd probably enjoy these. Salt Sea Chronicles, which is made by some of our friends and is absolutely fantastic. And Thirsty Suitors just came out, and it is really good, and I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
Awesome. 2 more for the list. All right, does anybody else have any last game recommendations, or should we move it on? I think we have one final question, which will bounce back to Colleen for, if no one else wants to jump in. All right, Colleen, take it away. You're muted.
Muted.
Oh yeah, it always happens in a Zoom call, right? Yeah, I was just taking copious notes, y'all. That's like such a good list, and a lot of these are on my list, but a lot of them are new, so I really appreciate it. Well, we've just got a few minutes left, and I was asking folks to throw into the chat one word that describes what you love about IndieCade. And so far, we've got Chris says freedom, the Chumo team, community, Taylor, games. Yes, it's why we're all here, right? And Liam said generosity. So if there's any more, feel free to keep them coming. Otherwise, I just really wanted to congratulate folks again. I mean, it's just been an incredible set of games this year. And I do think freedom, community, games, and generosity is a great tagline for what IndieCade stands for and enables. And I think that one of the big challenges in indie development, something that our team has faced too, is getting the word out there, right? Like making your games discoverable by people. And IndieCade performs such an important function of just making sure that your games can be seen by a lot of folks, and really appreciate also those game recommendations from everybody too. So I think, oh, it's so nice to see everybody's faces here. So I think that we'll probably wrap this thing up here. And one of the things that I do have to say is that this is just the beginning. There's 2 more weeks of IndieCade. Like, I think we need to rename Movember, right? Indievember, maybe. We got 2 more full weeks. That includes all kinds of stuff online with talks and gameplay, both found in the Twitch stream here as well as on Steam. There's night games. Oh, what's that, Aaron?
I said Night Games is back.
Night games. Oh my God. Okay, so I have a little, like, a personal story here. I was the first organizer of Night Games. It's like my favorite event at IndieCade, and I don't have plans to fly out, but I don't know. Maybe I can try to find a last minute cheap ticket to LA. It's going to be in downtown LA, everybody. So if you're in downtown LA, you got to go to Night Games. It's an incredible evening of games out in the open, and it's super fun. But again, I just want to thank and congratulate all of the game makers here today. You're an inspiration. Your games are so inspiring and super cool. And I think we all wish that we could make games like you've made, and we're gonna do our best to do so.
1000%.
Follow you in your footsteps for sure. Yeah, Aaron, Asher, anything else to close out this session? Anything else you might want to say?
Just to thank everyone for coming and for being here with your whole heart and for making these incredible games and keeping indie games alive.
Heck
Yeah, similar to Colleen and Asher, thank you all. Reviewing all the games in the Spotlight jury is a highlight of my year, getting to see all the cool stuff coming through. And so it was just a pleasure to see such an awesome caliber of stuff coming through this year. And I'm just thrilled that this is the year of audio in so many ways, as a theme for some of the winners this year. So amongst other things, that is a really cool outcome for me this year, and really looking forward to what the world submits next year.
Woo! Yes. All right. Thanks, y'all. It's time for you to crack open the champagne and go celebrate. And thanks to Aaron and Asher, my fearless co-moderators. Thank you,
Thank
IndieCade.
you, Colleen.
Woohoo!
Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, gang.
Bye.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.